Evening. I'm Kristen Baldwin from Yahoo TV, and I am thrilled to be here with the phenomenal cast of Orange is the New Black. Dasha Polanco, Danielle Brooks, Nick Sandow, Uzo Aduba, Laverne Cox, and Taylor Schilling. Thanks so much for being here. So first, show of hands, not that I can see very well, but who's binged the whole season already? All right, a few of you. So we will do our best to be spoiler-free up here. You will get a chance to ask some questions. There will be cards going around. So if you have questions, write them down. So everyone, this season really took a totally new chance, a new direction. What was your reaction, this is for the group, when you found out that this season would take place over 72 hours?
Well, I think it was a sense of conflict for us as an actor, because to perform for 6 months and it be for 3 days, at moments I was like, wait a minute, so it was times where I was like in the same clothes, in the same ambiance for 2 months, although it was 1 day. Yeah. But it was exciting. I think that once we found out, it was like, oh, that's why I've only ate one Cheeto every day for the last month. That makes sense.
And it's actually really, just on a narrative level, it's really exciting in terms of story, in terms of, I think Jenji Kohan is a bona fide genius. I think we can safely say that. And I thought it was such a really brilliant idea in terms of telling the story, an interesting challenge in terms of the form. So that was really exciting to me, just in terms of that 5 seasons in, we are still giving you something new, and we're still pushing the envelope, and we are still committed to letting you have it, honey. So that's exciting.
I loved it because I thought it was really exciting to see the audience and the characters not be given the opportunity to push past or glaze over where we left off. You know, the sort of comfortable thing to do would have been to handle time with some passage there, with, you know, maybe a month later, a week later even, after the grieving process has sort of finished. But instead, we catch these women right in the heart of their emotions, and the audience as well still still full with that emotional experience from season 4. And what I think is Jenji's genius is she does not take you out of the comfortable place. You actually have to deal with and sit in the experience and acknowledge it fully. And I think that was really reflective of the time where we kind of aren't always seeing these people or giving these people in real life who are battling a lot of these wars the time and the space that they deserve.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So
that
Taylor,
was brilliant, right? Good.
So Taylor, Litchfield is in a total chaos, but Piper seems calm and more at peace than we've seen her in years. Can you tell us a little bit about where that comes from?
Isn't that funny? Years. And she's been there for 10 months. Except we've been watching her for 5 years. So it's always funny to think about that. Yeah, well, I mean, it's an interesting thing, and I was just having a conversation with someone about this today, that, Piper, and hopefully this will be explored even further in coming seasons, but Piper experiences what's happening around her from a very different point of view, which I think it's valuable, and in some ways it adds a resonance and contextualizes the experience of the women around her, and I think it provides sort of it just kind of holds a space for the perspective of many people in the States. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It's an excellent answer. It's an excellent answer. So we've all wondered, thought about how would we react in a crisis. And I'm wondering, as performers for the group, were you surprised, or what did you think of your own character's reaction as this riot and uprising unfolded over the season?
I was very shocked with Tasty this season and her choices. But that's the thing of how would you react? And I feel like when someone chooses to start a riot, you have to be unafraid of death. And I think that's the place that she's living in. She's unafraid. She has nothing to lose. And she's just on that fight for, her girl. So through her fighting, Danielle, definitely had moments that I was like, Taystee, you really gonna do that? But what I love about my character is that she's so brave. Like I feel like when you're dealing with grief, you can go in two different directions. And one of those directions is fighting like she is, or just giving up on life, as we see So-So's character do in the beginning. And that's why I love her, is because I feel like in the midst of everything we've seen her go through in the past 4 years, and now 5, she's gone through so much, but she's still resilient and doesn't give up. So that's why I love my girl.
Anyone else like to talk about that?
For me, it was interesting because Sophia, if we remember from season 1, she was a firefighter before she was incarcerated. So for her, that emergency, she's trained really when it's life or death to go into like another mode of let me take care of. And so it was really fun for me to do that, to have another job. I love doing hair, but I was like, if I style one more person's hair. So it was really great for me to have another job to do and so see another dimension. And so that's kind of how Sophia, based on her training and her past, sort of responds to this moment.
I know for Caputo it was... Exactly, I won't say anything else.
He's really a nice guy, you guys.
Yeah, well, talk about being stuck for a season in a really huge mistake. I mean, for me to sit in the whole season in this one moment as an actor was not the most fun. Yeah, but being stuck and Genji messing with time for me was like, wow, okay, now we're going to put the audience in the same place as, where these women are, and let's really mess with time. And for Caputo, he had to like sit in this. My instinct was like, can he escape? Like, he can get out. Maybe he can run, or he can. And it was really for why he was staying in, and why he wasn't doing any of that. And I think that for me as an actor was making the choices of like, okay, give it over now. Yeah.
It's interesting because he says, I've never really been able to make a difference here. And it's
That's right.
almost like that's the first time he admits it to himself.
Yeah, right on.
And
Yeah,
I think
he
that
gives it over, and that's his lesson. Yeah.
I think that for Dayanara, it's interesting to speak about how everybody's grieving and, the situation with Poussey. But for the most part, she's been grieving since she's given up her daughter. And I think that the point where I got the script and I read that she shoots was the point where it was her release. That was the last thing she had in her. She's lost everything that she thought possibly belonged to her. And her not participating in the riot and her being in her own world and just like, it's interesting because I felt like she was the bullet that hit Humphreys. Metaphorically, that was her. And that's all you're going to get from her. She was done. She has given her all to life, inside, outside. She's a victim of her circumstances. And now she has given a life. She has given a life to something else. So it was interesting to see the dynamics of that.
So the cast is so expansive. Many characters don't always get to interact with each other. And I'd love to hear from each of you who's somebody you'd like to have more scenes with. And, if there's somebody that you get to have a scene with this season that you can talk about without giving too much away, we'd love to hear it. So we'll start with you, Taylor.
I think at this point it's been such a ride, this show, from where we started with this tight little group to, as you say, the landscape is now vast and the terrain is varied and it's fascinating to watch. But I think if I think I think I'd like to have scenes with Uzo again. I think actually at this point it's not. It's like I miss those dynamics from the very beginning that are 5 years old, but really just 10 months old. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Oh, they're talking. Always afraid. Yes, so I think that's what I miss, that kind of like, anyway, yeah.
Well, this season I had realized we hadn't really had anything together. We've been in one of those big cafeteria scenes together. We've been in the same room together, but we hadn't really had a scene together until this season. And I wanted more, but for me, what was so wonderful about it is getting to watch you work, and honestly, I think we have so many incredible actors on this show that I get to learn, and so when I've learned from each and every one of you. I really have, either watching you or having scenes with you. I've learned something, and so it's really very, very instructive for me. So it was really exciting just to kind of, hearing in, and just and watching and learning. And there's a lot to learn from each and every one of you. So yeah.
I agree with Laverne's answer thoroughly, but I do, I really do. And we came to that realization when we were where we were, no spoilers, and and it was like, suddenly was like, oh, hi, even though we've been sharing all this time together, we've never actually said words together as Sophia and Suzanne having exchanges, and that was an interesting.
5 years later.
Yes, exactly, right? It was so fascinating, so that was great to have that. And I similarly, when we were where we were, Piper, sort of the experience of this sort of full circle moment that occurred towards the end and realizing, the dynamic of that, and interested in seeing that, where is that relationship now 10 months later, is an interesting thing to me in terms of excavating through that. Dee and I work together all the time, so we love the ghetto dorm. That's my bunkmate. Woo, woo, woo. So we get to play all the time. But so all of that to say that I have not gotten to play with these two here. We did one scene, yes, season 3. But
Sort of passing.
yeah, exactly. But it would be really great to have that opportunity to work with Daya and Mr. Caputo.
I'm teaching you Spanish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm into it. I don't know what I'm
Suzanne will speak back.
Yes, I mean, I'm into it. That would be really cool to see that crossover dynamic.
Caputo's always on the outside of everybody, and he plays with sort of the same people, and I'm always like, oh, this cast. I watch the show, and I'm like, this cast is so amazing. I want to work with this one. And he's always, and if I am working with you guys, I'm coming in and I'm like, and I'm yelling at, yelling at everybody. And I got a great treat this season to work.
I got a great treat.
I really did. It was so nice. To really be
I
with
thought it
you,
was
to
nice
be with.
too. I really did.
I mean it. I really loved working
I
with
really
you in
did.
such a big, profound way. I mean, you get on the other side of a scene with her. You don't have to work. You just man, she just punches you in the stomach without punching you in the stomach.
Yeah.
And she punches you too. She
Punch
punched
you in the face. No, I feel that I really truly loved working with Nick Sandow and being directed by Nick too.
Yes.
Just saying.
Director.
Directed me too.
Just saying. He directed this season. But I just love working with him. I just felt like that was just it just was a treat to come to work with you every day, and especially when I don't want to spoil it, but y'all know, I mean, the dynamic shift too,
shifts,
getting to tell you what to do
Yeah.
was a lot of fun to play with too.
A lot easier
I
for
haven't
me.
had that with Caputo.
I think that Dianara has had moments. Remember the first episode pilot when I get slapped by my mother? That was the moment we had. Then I've had one where I I think for the most part, I haven't worked in depth with anyone, but like with the guards. Which
She's really worked with the guards.
not a bad thing, but a bad thing. And so I would love to have, like, I always envision Daya being like the tattoo artist because she loves to draw, and like everyone comes to her and gets a tattoo in weird places, so she gets to get intimate with every single body. You know, the greedy actor self. But that's where I would like this to go. So Tasty gets a tattoo, Caputo gets a tattoo, everybody gets a tattoo.
I want to know what tattoo he's getting. That's what I want to know.
So yeah.
Swastika.
Oh God.
I don't know. No.
I'm just saying, like,
Come on, it's not that bad.
No, if watch the season. As punishment.
Oh.
You didn't get that, girl.
I already got the swastika.
So, Uzo, we don't see Suzanne until late in the first episode, and when we do see her, she's giving C.O. Humphrey this sort of amazing look that says so much with no words, and I'd love to hear you talk about how you decided to play that scene.
Well, I didn't have lines. No. You know.
I don't think I should talk here. I think I should just give him a look.
I'm just gonna do it with my eyes. No, you know, it's interesting because sort of going back to this idea of circles, you know, that it's not like the season felt like it was revisiting, you know, a lot of moments and then getting to see them sort of flipped on their heads, whether it's the dynamic here we've seen between Tasty and Caputo, or this one here with Suzanne and Humphrey. The last two times we see these characters together, one is him being psychologically and emotionally aggressive towards her and abusive towards her, and the second is the effects of that psychological and emotional abuse, right? And those are so heightened in a very physicalized way, the story happening there, that what I thought was really cool about how Genji wrote that was to take some of the heat from that time off it. Not necessarily that she's made peace with it, but that she is lucid again. Even though, you know, just because all of the emotions that she was going through, it would have been too much for her to come in at a 10 again in that way. So the feeling for me was I wanted to register, to be aware of this person, and I know who he is to me in my life, meaning Suzanne, but simultaneously to sort of inject a little bit of the Suzanne, and I guess it's like Suzanne, Crazy Eyes face, but Suzanne is like the emotion, like just underneath. That was sort of where I arrived at it.
Danielle, you said in a recent interview that Tasty is a natural-born leader, and we really see that this season. And you said, you know, her reaction to how things unfold did surprise you. Where do you think her leadership qualities come from, and do you think they're a surprise to her as well?
I think they're natural. I do. I mean, we've seen her from day one try to be the president of WAC, and we've seen her at job fair. And there's just so many, you know, becoming the mom of ghetto dorms. I think it's just a natural thing for her. But it's interesting to me is she is someone who hasn't had an example, right? Like she hasn't had her biological parents, and also saying the examples that she has had have been V. So I think there's times where V kind of sneaks in there, but Tasty is like trying not to be that person. But I feel like that's always a capability of hers. And I think that's, instead of going the negative route with it, she channels it in a different way. But I think the relationship that she's had with V has also helped her leadership skills with this riot, I think. But again, like her channeling it in a positive way.
Right. Taylor, you mentioned earlier that, you know, Piper sees things from a very specific perspective, and she says something, or she asks a question that is very interesting early on. She says, do you think Do you think this is a step forwards or backwards for equality? You know, that's sort of her first thought when she sees what's happening. And I'd love to ask the group, but we could start with you, without spoiling too much, just overall, is this a good thing, this uprising, or for the women of Litchfield, or not?
Well, I mean, I believe that the idea of resistance is inherently a positive thing. People, the kind of the tagline for the season is "Stand Up," and the notion that these women are in whatever form it takes. I mean, there are a million different manifestations of it, but no one is silencing themselves. And there's and the interesting thing about the season is you see a million different variations of what it means to rise up and what that means for different people. And, it's an interesting thing for Piper because she's not, this isn't her story to tell, and this isn't her fight to fight. And I think she's grappling with that in different ways. And yeah, so it's an interesting thing. I think it's an interesting thing to be, kind of like what Nick is saying. There's a bit of an outsider quality to it, which I think in turn will pay off eventually because, well, she is having this outsider experience. She's banking experience to then bring out into the world to kind of be a liaison out into the world for what she's seen. So I think that's sort of happening.
How about the rest of you? Anyone have any thoughts? Is it a step?
I don't like dichotomies. I don't like the idea of good or bad. I think it just is the way it is. And I think it can be both and. I have a new therapist who's like, both and. So it can be... Girl, get into therapy if you're not there. So I'm saying that to myself. I'm there. No, I think there's consequences. I think I love the idea personally of resistance and the idea of fighting an oppressive system. For me, that's really exciting, and I think because of everything that's happening in the world right now, it's a really good thing for people to see and sort of imagine in different ways and imagine maybe how in our personal lives we can rise up and resist. I love all those ideas, but yeah, it's good. But for the characters and for the story, I think there's just consequences. I think there's consequences for everyone because of the nature of this system. And I know I can't wait to see what happens next.
I think that there was something important that I learned and observed while I was in the middle of my peers, my co-stars, is to see how reflective we are of reality. And I sit here and I see the audience and I see ourselves within there, not meaning like you guys are incarcerated or anything like that. I don't mean it like that. I mean in the sense that we are humans. In Litchfield, the incarcerated women are human and are fighting for the individual interest or just the group interest, but at the end of the day, they all are fighting for just basic needs. And I think that it's very brave, it's audacious, it's admirable to be taking away all your rights as a person, but also be put in a situation where your environment is oppressing you, and to be able to, for so long, survive within there. And to take that moment, I'm getting goosebumps because at that moment we didn't realize that as much as we're acting, we're part of something revolutionary that we've done, with the opportunity of Genji and the show. And it makes me very proud, and I'm sure all of you, to be part of this one show that's doing it. And we're talking about it, and to be able to have the audience that we have today supporting what we're doing means resisting and living and surviving and being resilient. So yeah.
That's great. Well, I wanted to ask you also, it's very hard, fans love Daya, and it's so hard to see her shoot the guard and knowing what that could mean for her future. And for you, what was, seeing that, reading that, knowing it was happening, what was your reaction and how did you cope with that?
It's like, I'm done. Done. If there was one more decision in my life that I took, it was this one. You know, I was kind of proud. I am proud. I think that Daya has taken so much of like everybody else's advice, or what's best for her, that at that point, I looked at Daya and said, you go and do whatever makes you feel in this moment free, you do it. And for me, it was freeing herself from everything that she has gone through, from, you know, the cards that she's been dealt, whether it's her mother, whether it's her family, whether it's the circumstances, whether it's the choices that she's made. But at that point, she finally made a choice that she wanted to. Nobody influenced her to do that. And that is what I stand by as Dasha. Yeah. You know, whatever choice you're gonna make, whatever risk you're gonna take, that's what you're gonna do, and you're gonna suffer the consequences or enjoy the successes of it. But do what in your heart you feel is right to do. And so I was
All right, she owns it.
yeah, a little bad, yeah.
So, Nick, Danielle mentioned earlier, you directed an episode this season. It's a very unusual episode with a bizarre talent show. Can you tell a little bit?
Amazing.
Can you talk a little bit about how that came about to direct?
Genji asked me to do it, and I was very happy to. I directed a couple of other things, so she thought it'd be a good idea, and I was excited about it, and that's how it came about. I'm interested that they gave. I think they gave me Litchfield Idol. I think there was something behind that. There's something about the talent show that I think they thought may fit for me.
What was your biggest challenge for that episode?
I mean, I think the challenge was having to. What do we shoot? 9 days, 10 days to direct in your boxer shorts for 10 days was
Oh
not.
my God, you were.
It was a challenge. It was not. It was a big challenge. Yeah, I mean, I was literally in my, running in front of the camera and behind, and I'm in my boxer shorts. So that was quite a bit.
The show is grand.
TV directors work really hard. We actors, we have it really easy. We're like, oh, I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee, and oh, the coffee's not so good today, and the director just doesn't stop from beginning to end. So they work really hard, and we have a lot of great.
Well, you
directors
did fantastic.
so. Thank you.
Yes, he did.
Thank you. I mean, it was really. I mean, the truth is, we have an amazing crew in New York. So, and I've worked with them for 5 years. So I stepped on I'm stepping on this train that is moving. So you just get on, and then I'm working with all these actors I work with. It just was a gem job. I couldn't make a mistake.
I gave him a hard time.
Ladies, how would you describe Nick as a director?
I was in LA. I was sort of going back and forth last season because I was shooting another series in LA, and it was a network show. And I remember coming back, and Nick was directing, and I just will never forget. You were like, you can take your time, because I was on a network show where like pace, and the commercials, and I was like, you can just take your time, and that little thing, and I just felt. I feel there's a difference. I think when there's an actor directing you, I think we all feel it. When someone's an actor as well and they get it, the way that we speak the same language. So much of working with directors is translating the note. Like sometimes it's like, what do you mean exactly? But with actors, we speak the same language. So it's just a simpatico. So there was that, and I just think telling me to slow down. Whenever someone does that for me, it's like the best gift ever, and you probably didn't realize you would. It was amazing. Thank you.
No, it's funny. As an actor, I always get, Nick, can you pick it up? Because I'm so slow. It's like, it's like, sometimes the director's walking over, and I'm like, I know, pick it up. It's like, I get the complete opposite all the time.
I think Nick is, if you can't tell already by his personality, is one, sincere, genuine, and generous. And all three of those things come through in his direction, I think. When to Laverne's point, when you're communicating a note, he's being honest about it, and he's doing it in a really careful, without being tiptoeing, but I guess the word would be thoughtful. He's thoughtful of the work that it's required to make the work and what it takes. He's been out there. He knows what it feels like. So he's thoughtful with how he communicates direction to you. But then his generosity, I know when we were doing the seance, he really will let you just go. Oh, sorry, spoiler. But he
It's in the trailer, girl. It's in the trailer.
Cool. He'll let you, that's right. He'll let you explore and experiment with something and then come in and give you just a gentle suggestion. I don't even know if I want to call it a note so much as it's a suggestion. But very, very generous. You are that as a man, so I just appreciate you.
Oh. So obviously the loss of Poussey hangs over the women at Litchfield over the events of the season. And as a tight-knit cast, it must have been, very unusual to shoot the season without her. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about what that was like and how it affected your portrayal of your character this season.
Everybody's looking at me. But she meant a lot to all of us. She means a lot to all of us. That's the, right? Poussey / Samira. I'm gonna start with Samira first. So I've known Samira for like 11 years now. So she actually in college helped me move into the dorms. And I know, right? And with her audition, I actually helped her do her lines for Orange is the New Black. So we're very close, and to not get to work with her every day was a hit to the gut. I think we can all say that about her. But what I am happy is that the world gets to see her bloom and get to see her fly, because there's so many beautiful colors of what she can do as an actress. So that makes me happy. But as Poussey, that was a hit because, like you were saying earlier, about just the relationship between, or the parallel between us as people, the society that we live in, and to Litchfield. It's so parallel, and it was very chilling because there were so many examples that were happening in America at the time we were shooting that. So it was very hard to be in this place of acting, the present time. It was actually happening in real time for us. So it made the stakes that much greater. And I think it made all of us drop into a place that I don't know if we necessarily would have if that wasn't the case. Because you feel a responsibility, to the people that have really gone through those things. The loss of Poussey was definitely a hard one, but I feel like, and Gingy has said it, and it's true, like you needed a character like that, someone that the audience cares so deeply about to lose. And I just really hope that people, like, this is what I just pray so hard about, is that, we show so much love to a fictional character like Poussey, but I just want us to take a second and really care the same about people that are really losing people like that in this world. It's important. It really is. It really is, to value life,
Taylor Piper says she's in her amends for bad behavior phase. Can you tease a little bit about what's ahead for her this season, and then I'll ask the rest of you to do the same.
Yes, well, Piper's in her amends for bad behavior phase. I think that there's a bit of a push-pull as she's trying to negotiate her gut organic response to things, which seems to be to try to win and do it right and gain admiration and sort of win points. I think at one point she said she wanted to win prison, and that's like, I think, a really clear way to picture the way Piper grew up and the way she's contextualizing the world. But I think as we're talking about, the riot brings out different colors and different dynamics in each character. And just given the context that it's happening for her in, she's trying to practice this idea of staying out of the middle. And she tries that until she can't.
If everyone could go down and give us a quick little preview.
Oh dear. What I would actually like to say is, isn't how brilliant our cast is? Aren't they just all smart? I love that. And I also wanted to say, too, that it's been really a joy hearing everyone talk about, particularly this season and last season, sitting on panels with everyone, because I feel like with my character throughout almost every season, there have been many moments where I felt that Sophia's story is bigger than a TV show, that there are real people out there in the world who are experiencing what this character is experiencing. It's bigger than a TV show. And I think we're all feeling that with the storylines from the past 2 seasons. And it feels really special to be a part of a show like that. And just sitting here before you tonight, I'm wondering, like, what, I guess my hope too is that we can not only have empathy for people who've lost folks to police violence and to violence in general, but to what does it mean for the people who are still living? The people who are still living, what does it mean for us in this day and age, at this historical moment, to care for and to love that thing that Cornel West says, that justice is what love looks like in public? How do we begin to, in our day-to-day lives, express that love and that love in public for our fellow citizens in ways that keep them safe and alive and cared for before it gets to that? So yeah, I wanted to say that.
All right.
I think for Suzanne, we've been talking a lot about time this season, and I think the front half of her story, I'll say 2 things. With the front half of her story, we get to see for the first time her slow down. I think seasons past, we've seen her maybe the fastest, like maybe the most sped up, And when we see her this time, it's like these 2 interesting worlds are happening simultaneously, because she is, not a spoiler because you just watched the first episode, but you see her outside of the riot. So her world isn't ratchet. She's not moving at the same speed as these women are. And so we see her timeline, even though she's existing in 3 days, it's just moving at a slow, she's not part of that world yet until we see her come above ground, as it were. So it's interesting to watch her world unaffected by the world that has been created in Litchfield, and that's a first. And then to watch her when she does go from being displaced and then reintroduced into the world above, it's interesting to see how quickly things speed up for her, and in a way that we haven't seen things as it relates to her character. This season is about power and what you do with it when it's given to you. And some of these women make choices that are different from choices that you would make. And when Suzanne is given the power over her own mental choices, let's say, it's interesting to see where she strengthens and where she falls. And that's a conversation that I genuinely believe we have only begun sort of to start scratching at in a cultural discussion with regards to mental health. And I think in this show, this season, we start to pick a bit at that scab and really start to try, at least, it seems like Genji's trying to do the work of investigating that body, which I think is sort of the last bastion, the last hurdle for really where, our full cultural acceptance.
Yeah, I think the tables are turned, and for Caputo, it's weird. It's a weird dynamic. We mess with power, we turn it on its head this season. And it's not so much the persecuted and the persecutor, which is the obvious switch. But with Caputo, I never saw him as a persecutor, you know. There's another leg to that table, this triangle, is that he thinks he's the savior or is stuck on wanting to be the savior. And this season, that's pulled from him, and he has he's left with no power and no chance to be a part. I mean, there's glimmers in it where he's dealing with, again, maybe, you know, you'll see the chance of being able to do that, to play that part, that role that he so desperately wants and needs to play, and that he just screws everything up because he's so bound to do it. Gets really turned and taken away from him. And he's faced with dealing with himself, which is not fun.
Oh, there.
With Tasty, I feel like she's definitely coming into her own and finding what it is to have that power that Uzo was speaking about. But I think for her, at the end of the season, what I'm learning is I think she's learning what it really means to have justice. What that really looks like, because I know it's not what she thought it would be. So that's where I think she is. Where she's going, I don't know, but what I do know is that she's also learning that she's not alone in it, that there's a sisterhood, and that she has girls that are gonna help her fight the fight.
I think that for Daya, I see signs of like postpartum depression in her. And when I see that there's going to be a moment where she did do that and she did feel like this is what she had to do, but there's going to be a moment along the line that hopefully in the next season it gets covered where it hits and she realizes that she does need help because what she's going through, she cannot go through it alone. So let's see if, you know, at the end, I don't know where Daya is going. We know she's gone, but we don't know where she's going as her life. But that's something that I do notice in her, and I hopefully they do tap into that, where we address that, because very recent, no? For her to go through that kind of tells you something's not right.
We're going to take some audience questions in a second, but first, there's so many funny moments in this episode. I just want to address two of them quickly. Tasty punching Caputo in the nose. I need to know from you two, what was that like shooting? And Nick, did she pack a good punch?
I thought I packed a good punch. I actually remember having to do it over and over and over. And by the end, my shoulder actually was like so tired. I had to go to physical therapy for PT because I was also doing The Color Purple, and I would swing those chairs around every night, and then I'm punching him. So I was like, I need PT. So I went to PT. And I was not good at punching.
So she committed fully.
I committed fully. I don't know what you remember.
Well, I woke up with a stiff, because I was tossing my head back.
Because we had to do it over and
I
over.
kept having to do that. So I woke up the next day. I went for acupuncture the next day. Because my head, I woke up like this.
Real dedication.
So-
Real dedication.
Yeah.
And of course, Laverne, we have to discuss the moment when Sophia discovers that C.O. Humphrey likes to go commando. I'm interested, as an actor, how do you break the ice before you're shooting a scene like that?
Sometimes I love my job. So, it was, no, but it's always really important for me to be like the most professional in every situation. So for real though. So I wonder if I could say that part. I won't say that part. But it was really important for me to just be super duper professional when we were shooting that, and always appropriate, because it's also ultimately it's a very vulnerable moment for someone to be in that state. And so it was really crucial for me to be really professional, and I was. I was very professional, and I was very appropriate. But it was lovely. Well, you saw it. It was all very lovely.
So a lot of underwear this season.
Yeah,
I'm just being honest. I'm being honest.
A lot of
Everyone
underwear.
felt safe, though.
All right, we'll take some questions from the audience. One fan asks, if you could play any other character on the show, who would it be and why?
We always get this question. You gave a really good answer the last time.
Yeah, handle
Yes,
that.
work it
Okay.
out, Uso.
Well, as ambassador to that question, it's a real true answer. My thoughts on that is this: it's a near impossible question to answer because, first of all, so many elements that we enjoy from each of these women, some of them don't even exist in the other characters. And so what I like about one character, maybe the other character does differently, and I like that too. And the best example I can give is what I like about the way how Gloria runs the kitchen is completely different about what I love about how Red runs it. So to compare or try and select from that doesn't work.
And I always feel that question, honestly, truly. It's kind of, we bring such beautiful qualities to each character and essence that I can't see me as Crazy Eyes. Here I am. It's like, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Here's Tasty. Here I am, punching Caputo. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? As much as we admire each other's work for the most part, I love...
Shade. That's what you call shade.
Okay, I'm just saying, it's to each his own. There's people that like some things, and there's people that, everybody.
It is a keeping it real.
Okay, well,
This is
look.
why she's the ambassador of the question.
Okay. Well, I have something to say about that. And the point is, not everybody likes tea. Some people like coffee. So at the end of the day, I think that we all bring such light to our characters that we respect each other enough to say that where we're at is where we're supposed to be, and to admire and to be your partner and to work with you is as much as we would like from each other. For sure. Point blank.
She might not like tea, but she just spilled some.
With the sugar, honey.
Yes, okay.
Wet reality.
Taylor, this is a fan question for you. Would you be attracted to an Alex type in real life?
Who asked that question?
There is no name.
Yeah, okay. Let's keep it that way.
All right.
I think that's a no.
Another fan, this one is Kristen from Queens, asks, as actors or even characters, don't you ever feel bad for Caputo?
I like him, but sometimes he don't follow through, man. He doesn't follow through. Like, he was supposed to call Pusey's dad, and he didn't do it. After I had
called
to
the
beg
guy.
you, Tasty had to beg you to call him.
did it.
You've not been nice to Sophia.
The
either.
relationship. This is
We've had some issues.
I love
too.
him, but
we've had
Lord.
some issues too over the years.
like
Yes,
pulling
I've
teeth
had
to get
issues
you to
with
do stuff
everybody, huh?
sometimes. Your character to do stuff.
Yeah.
Nick, someone wants to know if you really play guitar.
It's the bass.
The bass, sorry.
plays. And
That's
I
my
do
bad.
not play the bass. I said, oh, no, Genji, I'll learn. I'm going to take lessons. And after the second lessons, I said, can you teach me how to fake it? Because there's no way I'm going to get this.
I can teach
don't-
you how to fake it.
Laverne has been
on a-
coming
you're on-
today.
All night.
No.
She is on
them
one
cashews or
today. I love it.
I know how to
All of
fake
it. Here
it.
for all
I know how to
Yeah.
fake it.
He's good.
Trail mix, honey.
Here for all of it.
This has gone to a whole new place. So this is for the whole cast. What is something you've taken away from your character that you apply to your life off screen? And this is from Sarah. Start with you, Taylor.
You know, I've developed a great deal of compassion for Piper, and I've really learned to root for her, and I see a lot of humanity in her resilience, in her desire to keep going. She doesn't, for all of her missteps, she's not lying down, and she's trying. And I have a great deal of empathy and respect for that in anyone in any capacity when we keep rising.
How about the rest of you?
I love Sophia. Sophia at her best, I think, is a fighter. There was been talking a lot about season 4 when Sophia was spent most of that season in Shu, and I just love the moment when she decides that she's going to flood her cell, and then she put in her new cell, and then she's like decides to set her cell on fire because she's like, I am not. If I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out fighting. And in the moment in season 1 when they take her off her meds and she swallows the bobblehead, she's badass at like her best, and she's gonna go out. If she's gonna go out, she's gonna go out fighting. And I love that about her, and I would love to think maybe I have some of those qualities, or maybe I'll adapt some of those qualities. I think I maybe have some of that. That I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna figure out a way to survive, and that Sophia is figuring out a way to survive no matter what.
Hi guys. I would say for myself, I think Suzanne has served as a reminder for me, or it reaffirms for me that to just be yourself supremely. Like, that is enough, for better or worse, in good times and in bad. You know, that is enough. You don't have to put anything on or do anything extra. Just be entirely yourself. And however that's received out in the world is not for me to be concerned with.
Yes, preach.
That sort of, seriously, you know, I think that's what she has reaffirmed for me, and to always, always choose love.
Yeah, you know, it's funny I feel like I'm still inside, and I don't quite have the perspective of like what I've learned from this experience yet. I know after a year of being, you know, a season of being inside him, I really want to let him go, and I sort of want to. I'm desperate to accomplish things because he can't get a single thing done or get out of his own way. So I think he is really inspired. You know, playing it has really inspired me to do some stuff, you know, to try and do some stuff, and say some stuff and make things happen, you know. Yeah, so I'm trying, you know. Yeah, it's a good question, but I feel in it, and maybe 5 years from now I can tell you.
Honest answer. For me, what I have learned from Tasty is going back from season 1 when she's having a conversation with Miss Claudette and Poussey, and she's about to get out of prison. She says, I don't think anybody's going to take me seriously. Basically saying, I can't do this. And there's so many times that I feel that way in life, believe it or not. I feel like, damn, man, like I've been given this opportunity, the same as Tasty, given this opportunity to fly, but will my wings carry me? And through this experience and watching her grow, especially into season 5, and Danielle growing into season 5 of life, a year of 5 years of life or whatever, I feel like that's what she is reminding me as I go on my journey. So that's my lesson from my girl.
From Daya, there's something that I've learned. I remember I used to say, oh, she's a hopeless romantic. She's so naive. Kind of judge her a little. Say, like, not me. But I take for granted so many things in my life, basic things, every day. And seeing someone like Dayanara be in those circumstances and me being here and being blessed with so much and thinking that I'm just not enough, goes to show me that I am more than enough, and that the moment that you're in is the moment that you're supposed to be. So you got to take things as they come. You got to live in the moment. You got to seize the moment. And, you know, growth, change is good within you. And to be able to embrace that and to be able to just stay on that, to stand on a stage in your life where you think that you're not going anywhere but you're headed somewhere. It's what I see in her, and that light at the end, wherever it might be, just to receive it and go towards it. So,
I'm feeling all inspired. So our last question for the evening, Nick, someone wants to know, do you think Caputo's even going to want to work in a prison anymore after all this?
It's a good question. Do I think? What I'm more curious about is what the writers in LA are thinking. What they're thinking and what journey they'll put him on. Yeah, I do think in some way I don't know. I'd be bullshitting you if I tried to answer that question. I have no idea. I don't really know. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to find out. But season 5 of Orange is the New Black is streaming now. Thank you so much to the incredible cast. And thank you.